All right, hello everyone out there in franchise land. Again, this is Adam Johnson, the president of Nerds to the Rescue Incorporated, coming to you to bring some information to you about kind of this thing that's going on tomorrow. So, as I told you to keep an eye out for several different videos that we'd be doing, we still have a few more coming yet, but I wanted to throw this one out there as well, give you a little bit more information kind of about what we're at and what's going on. So the last time I talked to you about kind of the overall picture of, basically what's going on with this email blast tomorrow. But now I'm going to try to get a little bit deeper into it with you with a few different things you need to know, okay? So yesterday we talked about the deep freeze software that we'll be using. Now, remember, as I said, the purpose of having the evaluation form and doing the first step, the break fix part of this is only the first step in a long-term service agreement. What we're going to do is fix the computer, freeze the computer, and then offer remote services. Now, they don't have to get remote services, but in this day and age, remote services honestly save people a lot of money, and it's frankly stupid not to have them. So you definitely need to know those things. I'll be sending out some other videos to you as well. Also, take a look at Eli the Computer Guy's videos on the subject. He's somebody that we actually sponsor here at corporate. He's got a lot of good videos on the subject, help you kind of familiarize yourself with what's going on. So one of the big first issues that we face isn't doing the break fix aspect. We do that already, right? You go to a network with 10 computers and you find that all of them have viruses. Well, before you can freeze the computer, you got to remove the viruses. So that's the break fix part, right? You're going to go there and fix an issue. They've got some memory that's bad. They need to upgrade a hard drive. They need to back up some data. That's all break fix. But once that's done, you really need to sell them on two facts, and this is going to be in the email, so you need to know this, okay? The first thing you need to know is the ad that's in the email that's going out tomorrow will tell them, ask us how we can guarantee you will never get a virus again. That is very important because as a computer person and as a network technician, the more secure you can make their network, the better they're going to feel. Now, you can do this for residences as well, but generally speaking, residences aren't going to have as much of a need for this as corporations or as small businesses might, okay? So part of what's going on here, as I mentioned yesterday, is we're going to be using a software called Phoronix Deep Freeze. Now, many of you, if you've been in the IT field, you've probably heard of this before. It's probably the most popular deep freeze software. You can get it fairly cheap online, but we don't want you doing that. You need to get it from us. There's a reason for this. Not only do we need to get a discount for it, but we can buy it in higher volumes at a better price, and we actually get the enterprise version. You must use the enterprise version because the enterprise version is the only one that will allow remote connectivity to manage services when we implement that piece of the pie. So because of that, you must use the enterprise version. You'll hear people say all the time, if you look it up online or look at some videos, oh, you can get deep freeze for $40 a computer. You don't want that. It is not the enterprise like the CTAM Enterprise Edition. It will not work for what we're trying to do. Even if we don't have all the remote services up and going tomorrow, you still want to install the enterprise services because what that will allow you to do is later on is to give them a call and come back and offer that as an upsell. Since the correct version is already on their computer, then there's an easy transition piece to go from where they're at to where they need to be. They don't have to pay for another upgrade. You don't have to pay for another upgrade. So keep that in mind. All right, now the second thing I want to mention to you is pricing, right? Now your cost on 10 licenses, that means 10 different computer installs of Phoronix Deep Freeze Enterprise CTAM Edition, is right at $800. It's like $819, something like that. I'll get you guys the exact pricing a little bit later. You're probably thinking, that's pretty expensive. And I'll admit that it is. But when you think about it, it's just as expensive as getting an antivirus antivirus program for each of the computers you're installing. The advantage of it is this software, when used properly, will guarantee you that they cannot manipulate the computer. That means they cannot change the password. They cannot get a virus. They can do whatever. They can erase everything on the hard drive, and as soon as they restart the computer, it's right back to where it was. It's dummy proof without being rude, that's what it is. It prevents them from making any significant change either to the program itself or to the network, which means better reliability. The upside for that for you means that when they need a change, they have to call you, and you can do the changes remotely or in person, and those changes then become the catalyst of the money maker. Now, you're going to get paid to do the install, of course. You're going to get paid to do that initial break fix, of course. But let's just say you go to a company that has 10 or 15 computers, and you've got deep freeze on all of them, and 3 months from now, the software that they use needs a critical update. In order for them to do that update, they're going to have to contact you, and you're going to have to provide the change password that allows them to unlock deep freeze, to run the update, their local IT team, or you can go and do it. And what this does is save you a lot of time and money. Instead of you having to go back out there for 6 hours and do this update manually, you put in a password one time on the network that unlocks their ability to run the install. They run the install, and then it automatically relocks the program. And what happens is you charge the customer a flat rate per change. So this will happen every time. So you get a computer, or you've got 10 or 12 on the network, and maybe after the initial install, you're charging them $25 per change. 25 times 10 is 250 bucks. You never have to leave your office. Remote in, it takes you 30 seconds to open it up, about 2.5 minutes to close it and recapitulate the drives once you get them all down, and that's it. So for 3 minutes, without leaving your office, you make 250 bucks every time they need a change. So this is the long-term aspect that I keep talking to you about. You really need to be thinking about this. Now, back to the pricing model. I want you guys to think in terms of a bundle, right? You know that on most computers there is in fact a virus. I don't care how good protected your computer is, 99% of PCs have at least one, many have several. When I say viruses, I'm talking colloquial terms. I'm talking about viruses, malware, spyware, robots, harmful redirects, host files being messed up, all kinds of stuff, right? These are all included in that, virus word here. So when you go out to a computer situation and you're going to take care of these issues, the first thing you need to be thinking about is how to package all of these as an easy sale. You know how much it would normally cost to do a virus removal. A good, intense virus removal using the tools that I've provided you and tried to get you to use. If you use them correctly, if you run them correctly and fully with all the options checked, it'll take you between an hour and 15 and an hour and a half on the average to disinfect an average infected PC. Okay? So you're going to have an hour and a half of labor. On top of that, it's going to take you probably about a good hour to an hour and a half to install, configure, and freeze with Phoronix. So you're looking at about 3 hours of time. Included in that, you also have the cost of the actual software itself. And that cost to you, like I said, is going to be $80 some odd per license. You must buy them in tins. I don't get that choice. That's not me. That is coming straight from Phoronix. If we want the pricing that we get on it, we have to buy them in blocks of 10. So yes, it's a big upfront obligation you guys are going to have to look at. You're going to have to look at swallowing an $850 bill almost up front. But keep in mind that this software by itself normally sells for close to $400 per install. Now, you can't really push that off on a per computer basis in a network situation, but what you do is this. You do that removal plus that install for a set fee. And typically it'll look something like this. You've got an hour and a half of time for the virus removal. You probably got $10 or $15 for your time to install a good solid antivirus. And then you've probably got about an hour, hour and a half of time to install Phoronix. Then you have the actual cost of the program itself. So what we're seeing is that anywhere between $299 and $349 is reasonable for that first computer install. Then what you can do is for each additional computer on the network that needs to be frozen, you can just do that for a flat $100. That'll make you $20 to $25 on just the program, plus any removal that needs to be done, I would do again for a flat rate of just $25. And the reason being, remember, you're not trying to make $25,000 off this first ticket. The idea is to get in, show them the value of the program, and get their computers with the software on it so they're able to move forward with remote services as soon as we're ready, because that's where your recurring income is going to come in, guys. That's where you're going to start getting that, you know, $10, $15, $20, $30, $40 a month residual for 100,000 clients. I mean, that's what you need to be thinking. We need to be thinking about volume here, okay? So part of that whole thing there, if you look at that schema, let's just say we go 349, right? You've got one computer there, you freeze it, your cost in that is 80 bucks. Your cost in the labor is 2 hours at whatever rate you're charging. But whatever you're paying yourself or paying your techs, you're probably only paying them anywhere between $15 and $20 to $25 per billed hour. So if that's the case, as the company, as you, the company is concerned, you actually are only spending about $100 to $120 in actual expense. And since you actually have only about $100 to $120, $130, $140 in actual expense, you're actually pocketing a lot more money. And because of the fact that you're pocketing that money, you're looking at everything between about the 150 to 160 mark all the way up to that 349 is essentially profit. So that first 2 hours, you're looking at probably putting $130 to $150 in the pocket. That's why I said don't be greedy with number 2 through number 100. You need to cover the cost of your software, which to you is going to be around $82, $83, $85 per license. And then on top of that, you need to actually just charge a minimum hourly fee to take care of those removals and setting the computer up. So this could look, again, it could look something like $110 to $120, just flat rate each additional computer, say maybe up to 10, and then maybe after that it's just a flat rate $100 per computer for infinity. However you want to work it. Keep in mind that if you have a good tech, or if you are a good tech, you can take that thumb drive you have, replicate the software on there, and you can literally do 7, 8, 10 computers at one time. If they have a good internal network where you can actually use something like DHCP blog and actually set up a mock DHCP server on their network so that you can plug in and you can send it out to all the computers simultaneously, you reduce that time. Because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, only 25 or 30 bucks for that removal on each computer sounds like a loss, but it's not. The key is to do multiple computers at a time. Even as one individual tech, if you had to do 10 computers and you do 3 at a time, and it takes you an hour to do each of those removals, you're doing 3 at one time, you do 3, 3 sets of 3, and then one for what would normally have taken you 10 hours takes you 4, so those extra, $12, $15 on each of those 5 hours, 4 hours that you actually billed them for that you didn't spend makes you another 60, 70, 80 bucks. So these are things you need to be thinking about. How can I be effective and time effective as well? So, chew on those things for just a little bit. Okay, once that's done, we need to make sure that we're using this evaluation form, as I mentioned the other day, as a way of putting your foot in the door. You have to get your foot in the door. Get the break fix done, then schedule a follow-up, then go back. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Keep in contact with them. Make sure you're going forward and forward and forward with each and every customer. Remember here, the thing is not volume. We're sending out 50,000 emails. We're guaranteed by our provider that 10% of them will open the email. That's 5,000. Out of 5,000, if the average close rate is 1%, that's 50 customers. And you may be thinking 50 customers doesn't sound like very much. And you're right, 50 is not that big a number. Especially if you don't even close 50. Let's just say you close 10 out of those 50. But 10 out of those 50 at an average of $350 is $3,500 one time. We're not talking about the recurring services. We're not talking about the extra installs. We're not talking about maybe they need a new server. We're not talking about maybe they need 10 more computers. We're not even getting to any of that yet. We're just talking doing the removal and freezing the computer alone. You're talking about $3,500 of income, and you're talking about relatively low out-of-pocket expense of around $800 to $900. So keep this in mind, that the more you're able to replicate this, build on the relationships, the better things will be for you. It is not going to be easy. It's going to require some gumption from you. You're going to have to look into what's being said, what's being done, and how to make these things work. So I certainly want you to look at the links that I sent y'all earlier in the email. Pay careful attention to each one. If you don't understand what RAID is, what network topography or typology is, how to use Visio, any of these kind of things, you need to remember this and use that evaluation form for your benefit. Remember, the purpose of you getting all that information on every network you go to is twofold. If there's something on that list they don't have, then you could say, hey, look, you don't have a network typography or a network key. It would be very good for you to have one so that if you ever run into an issue, you know right where everything is. They're only, X amount of dollars, however much, based on the size of their network. Like I said, an average typology key can take 2, 3, 4 hours to do in Visio. It can easily go up to $600, $700, $800 a piece. Some of them for smaller networks might take you an hour, and it might only be a $100 sale. But it's a piece of paper, right? It takes you 10 minutes to do it. So think about these things for your benefit. And then what they do have that's on the evaluation form, you could use as a catalyst to show them the difference between what they have and what's most ideal. Remember that the selling point is always, always efficiency. That means the saving of time. That means the saving of money. If they're saving time, they're saving money. If they're paying less labor, they're putting more in their pockets. And these are all things you need to be thinking about as we go through these things. And just in general, we'll be having some more training coming your way shortly. Please keep your eye out for it. In the meantime, send me an email if you want an evaluation copy of the Phoronix Deep Freeze program. I'll be happy to send you an evaluation. We're also going to have some videos made with instructions for it here pretty soon. Get well versed in this program. It will be the difference between you making $300 or $400 with this email blast and making $5 or $10 grand. You need to capitalize on each call, okay? We'll talk about that more in the next video. I hope you're having a good day out there in Nerdland. Look forward to seeing and hearing from you all. Make sure, if you have any questions, comments, or emails, anything, just email us, call us, make sure that we can help you out because that email goes out tomorrow morning at noon, and I hope you're ready for it. Thanks.